Okay, so let's close this one. Welcome. I'm Tom Janssens from the JOOMLA Tools team. On JOOMLA Tools, I'm mostly working on user interface development, but today I want to learn or show you a little bit about deployments of your website to your server. So let's, or I'm hoping that you learned something after the presentation. So automate your JOOMLA deployments with Git. First, a question. Who uses FTP to upload his websites to a shared hosting or to some other hosting space somewhere? That's almost everybody. Who uses something different? What are you? As FTP? Okay, yeah.
That's as bad.
Yeah, that's as bad. SSH, okay. But nobody's code is in a version system, or you just directly upload your stuff onto the server, right?
Both.
Sorry?
Locally on Git.
Yeah, and then.
Transferring it.
Okay. Okay, so you're already working with Git.
I do not deploy this.
Okay. In general, does everybody has an idea about Git? Like what it does? No? Okay, well, we come to that, so I know I need to dig a little bit deeper on what is Git really. So FTP on shared hostings, I have one answer to your questions. That's so 90s. Oh.
Yeah, you better use that discount code.
Yeah. If we have one more seat left somewhere. Okay. So for the two new people, if you're using FTP on a shared hosting to upload your websites to the internet, that's so 90s. So, yeah, okay, perfect. So the goal of this presentation is say goodbye to FTP. And a little quote, there are only two kind of tools. Tools we all bitch about and tools we don't use. So probably everybody has his issues with FTP, right? And you're still using FTP instead of better tools. So let's talk a little bit about FTP. FTP, it's prehistoric. It's slow. It's not secure if you're using as FTP, okay? But in general, it's not secure. And you have no version control. So if you build something for a client and a day later, a week later, a year later, he wants something to change, you almost need to download it from the server again, so you're sure you have the latest version, because you never know what happens. And then you need to modify it and upload it again. In general, if you have any questions about English or you're not completely following me, just stick up your hand and then we translate. My friend Mr. Hent is also in the room, so he can translate German to English or English to German or whatever. So he does, yeah. So in general, FTP, it's not like the tool we need today. We need something else. We need something better, and there are better tools available. So FTP, been there, done that, and got the T-shirt. Let's move on now. Okay. Example. Yesterday I was talking to Sander. He's involved with the extensions directory of JOOMLA, and the problem they are having is they're still using FTP, and the state of their deployment at this moment is the following. The extension directory, so the server, the website, is managed using FTP. So somebody initially uploaded on a web server, and now every change they need to go through FTP. They don't know what somebody else has done before. If you have two people with access, you don't know what the other guy did unless he writes you an email saying, hey, I did this today in this line, in this file, so that's a road for trouble. And then of course, be careful, you can break it. So every time somebody goes in and logs into the FTP to make change, he's terrified. Because if he screws up, there is no way going back. or he has a backup, but then he needs to have a backup of the complete website, which you need to remove the current and replace it. It takes like FTP, maybe 30 or even an hour if you have a lot of images or whatever. So that's also not very good. And then of course you have no changelog of previous changes. So in the past, nobody knows what has been done to the website, what has been changed. You simply don't know. You also have no changelog of upcoming changes, because if you have the JET website locally on your machine, you make a change to a file, there is no overview. If you go in, if you leave it on your laptop for 1 week, the next week you don't even remember what you've changed. So no changelog of upcoming changes, and then of course it's unable to accept code contributions, because you can provide somebody with the code base unless you give him the whole code base, and then he has the code base of a single moment, and there is no way he can update it automatically unless you give him a new version of the complete website. So code contributions is very hard. We call this the deployment stress syndrome. So let's...
And we drink a lot of beer to solve it.
Yeah.
We agree, right? We're in Germany.
So the deployment stress syndrome, in general, with the example of the JET, but in general it is fear of change even after delivery to the client. On the moment also, because even if your website is not stable yet and you're already changing something, you already have the fear in your, yeah, you probably know the sentence. So of course you also have the issue, it works on my machine, and the client, it doesn't work for the client, or my colleague, another developer, it doesn't work for him, because you're working on different versions of Apache, different versions of PHP, and there is no central place of code, so you have no reference. And the last one is the silo isolation. What's mean that everybody is using his own silo. So you have a certain setup of certain version numbers, your colleague has a certain setup, you can't match them together, somebody changed something, you need to completely update, you don't have an overview, everybody is like in his own world, and it's very hard to in team work together. It's even impossible, because you just screw up in the end. So, conclusion, it's an attitude problem and not a technical problem, because there are tools out there capable of working together perfectly without screwing up. If you screw up to a client and his site goes down, you just roll back to a previous version in a matter of seconds. The client never notices. So there are a lot of tools available to just have a happy life, and in the evening enjoy some television instead of watching your cell phone. Is the site down? Did I do well today? Remembering what did I do? I updated that site. Well, let's look a last time before I go to bed to just make sure. So there are tools out there. Technology stack. So let's have an overview of the tools available. We have a lot of tools we are using today. We have PHP, we have JavaScript, we have HTML, CSS, Ubuntu or another server version, Apache, Nginx, MySQL, and the last one, Git. So I think everybody is familiar with all these things except the Git. So let's have a little or a closer look at Git. It's a version control system. So it allows you, does everybody know what a version control system is? Right? So it allows you to track every change that has been made in the past. So you can go back to previous changes, you can see who did what. So you have a complete overview of every character that has been changed in a source code. Everything. So there is no place to hide when somebody screw up or a colleague made a typo. You know he made the typo, so you can, well, in worst case fire him, but just fix the typo. That will be enough. So Git, the lean, mean, distributed machine. Development state. How are we working with Git? Git has a central space. It's like the heart of Git is a repository. It's called a repository. And what does it do? It hosts all your files. It's like a server or like a bucket where all your files are in. And it keeps the change log of everything you've changed in the past to all your files. So it's like the server, the place where all your files are on, but the repository is not the eventual web server where your visitors visit the website. It's something different. Okay? Is that already clear? Repository, everybody has an ID. Okay. Then to our development state, we add some developers because we need people to build the software for clients. And last but not least, we add what we call the cloud, or just a normal web server, but a fancy name, the cloud. Then let's say a developer, he pushes something to the repository. So he make a change, and then he sends his change to the repository. For example, initially you set up your repository with a complete JOOMLA. You download JOOMLA 2.5, 3.0 from the JOOMLA website. You put your complete JOOMLA into the repository, and everybody, all the developers have access to the repository, and they can make changes to the JOOMLA. For example, this developer, he developed a new template. He creates a template and he pushes it back. Then the other two developers, they can pull. That's what we call pull. So there are changes made to the repository so they can update. It's like checking your mail. You hit the update button and they see, okay, we have new versions not on my local machine because the developers have a local environment installed. There are updates on the repository, so I need to download all the changes. So that's, you have push it to the repository, and pull everything that is new from the repository. And then finally, you are going to deploy your repository, a certain version of your repository, to your web server, to the cloud, making it available for visitors on a website. But it can be any version in your repository, because the developer, he can already start working on a feature you are going to release in 2 months. For example, if your client has a lot of features he wants and a lot of components he wants, then you can start small, push stuff to the repository, deploy it to the website, and continue working, even in a lot of different versions. So you can work together on a lot of different stuff, and then at a certain point something is ready. Okay, we deploy it to the web server, and everybody just continues working on future stuff in 2 or 3 months. Is that already a little bit clear? Okay, so we have push, we have pull, and then we are going to deploy something to the web server. Then, in this little presentation, I can't explain you all the comments or all the commands you can use on Git, but there is a super nice tool. It's on try.git.com, and it will learn you Git with all the basic commands in 50 minutes. Now let's have a first look. This is how the website looks, and it has like these steps at the top. You see all these different steps. So it will guide you through, and it will give you the command, like git init is the first command you ever need to set up a Git repository. So it will give you all the commands with all the information, and then you have this little terminal or console where you type the commands, you see how the thing reacts, and you can play with it. So I'm not sure I have internet here, but I can show it to you on the website. So this is it. So for example, if I type git init, and I don't have internet probably. What is it, wireless? No? Let's see. Yeah, but what is the network, of course. There. Wi-Fi, and then here, JOOMLA day 2, and then the same password, JOOMLA at club office. Okay. Yes. So let's.
There's a sample example, we have the complete Joomla system in the repository, or only the extensions?
No, you can choose whatever you want, but you can put a complete Joomla into the repository and then work from there. Or you can combine, repositories together as well.
That's already more complex.
But
with Git, there are solutions like Git modules. There's sub-tree merging, but those are very advanced topics that allow you to combine different Git repositories together. It's a little bit out of scope of what we're trying to explain here.
so for example, if you are always using, if you're always installing ACL Manager in in every client's website or Docman, let's hope, then you can create a repository with your default installation, with like the default Joomla, with Docman, with ACL Manager, and then you can create a separate repository with custom components you build for clients, and then you link them together. You see?
But you just described here
We now, the simplest form. So just a repository with a complete Joomla into it,
and one centralized repository.
and one repository. Yeah, yeah. It's what you use normally, but already you can make it advanced, of course. Yeah. So let's try. If you say git init, et voila, and then you get git status.
Another question. I think that you noted trygit.com, and there is.
Oh yeah, it was a typo in my presentation. Sorry. Yeah, it's on GitHub. Sorry.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I will change it right away. Here and there. Like that. So it's on GitHub.
It's in version control now.
Sorry?
Did you push it?
Did I? Oh no. I will just save it locally. Okay.
Oh, don't forget.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay, so try this one and just play with it, and it will just guide you through all the commands Git offers and everything it offers in like 50 minutes. You already know a lot about setting up a Git, pushing stuff to Git, pulling stuff from Git, and of course you also have desktop clients. Depending if you're using a Mac or a Windows, you have a lot of clients. If you just Google for Git client Windows, you'll get a list. On Mac, the most familiar on Mac is Tower. Not sure if you know it, but you just use Google and ask Google for a client. So then, we have our Git set up. We did our pushes. We know what this word means. Now the final thing, the most important thing is the branch strategy. Because, like I told you in the beginning, Git allows you to work simultaneously on different stuff. So let's have a look into this. So we have branch, merge, pull, push. The first two words, you can dig it up in Google. But it will look like something like this. So if you go from the top to the bottom, it's the time. So it's just a timeline. And then, for example, you start with your, and then from left to right are branches. Branches are different containers in your repository. So for example, we have a feature branch, we have a develop branch, a release branch, hotfixes, and master. So for example, let's say you developed the website for your client, you pushed it into your repository, and it's like the 0.1 version of your website for your client. So it's there and it's deployed, the master, it's deployed on the server, and your client is happy, everything is okay. But you start developing on more features. So here in the yellow dots, in this branch, you start developing on new stuff. And at a certain point, your client calls and he says, oh, I have an error on my website. This error, it's not working anymore. You need to fix this as soon as possible. So that's what we call, it's like a hot fix. You're going in and you're fixing the production or the master branch right away. So you have your code initially released, the light blue one, the 0.1. You take that revision, that changelog, and you make one typo probably, hopefully. So you made some small errors somewhere. You fix them. here, and you push them to the server, deploy them to the server, and your client is happy again because his problem is fixed. So the server, the master branch, is fixed. Everything is fine again, and you have pushed from the hotfix branch immediately to the master. And of course, you are now also going to or need to push this change to your develop branch, because you are already the yellow dots. You did already a lot push requests to the server, so now you need to bring this one into account as well, right? Are you following a bit? So for example, every yellow dot can be a new component you writ yourself, or you download it from the JET and you installed it to the website, you modified it, you checked the template, everything is fine, and you made your push to the repository. So every yellow dot can be something like that. Then the client called and he said, we have an issue. You were working on adding new components to the website. He calls, so you need to immediately go in. So you update your local installation based on the version number of the master branch. You switch your local installation with one click of a button to the code base running on the production server. So this has like the tag, or it has an ID, it has a hash. So you switch to that ID, that changelog, that version number, and you make your modification. Yeah?
But that's true only for data in the file system, because the database must be can differ.
Yeah. So,
How do you get that in?
well, that's the next step. So that's a little bit more advanced. Which,
Do you have a solution?
yeah, you can.
Okay.
There are other solutions for that. For example, Capistrano. You can write it down and Google it a little bit. It's a solution that allows you to create a sort of script that performs stuff on your database queries. So for example, you have written a new component. You need new database tables. So you add the queries to a script, to a Capistrano script. At the moment you deploy that version onto your server, the SQL code will also be performed.
That's an extra step, and then it becomes complex. What we're going to explain to you is how you get from Git onto a server without using FTP, the goal of this presentation, right? The next step, and you're going to learn about that, come after the presentation to us, I'll show you. The next step is, how do you do that with a step in between, which is the deployment process. Then you use a tool to deploy the code. So it's actually going to get the code from Git, and it's going to upload the code to the server, and in between it's going to do all different steps. One of those steps is database migration. To do database migration, you need to write a database migration script. You need to tell what migration steps need to happen. And you also write a database rollback script, because if something goes wrong, you will want to be able to roll back with one click of a button.
Yeah, but the problem I'm talking of now is not that big. But let's say that this bug depends on module settings.
Yeah.
So if I go back to 1.0.1, I don't see the bug on my local environment. So I have to copy the settings of the module.
Correct.
So that's what I'm.
There are two ways of doing that. One, you document it. If you make this a commit and you're going to deploy it, then you need to make it on the live installation. You need to add some sort of note saying I need to do this, or you automate it with a database migration. Right? That's a more complex step.
Okay. So that was clear for everybody. Like, it allows you in Git not only to have your overview of all your changes, but also work on different stuff simultaneously in different tracks of the same code base. Eventually, everything, it's the same code base, but you can work in branches which are different from each other based on the stuff you want to deploy first and work on in the future. Then, we now know a little bit about Git. It's really powerful. That's one thing for sure. So what if the technology we had before, PHP and Ubuntu and everything, what if we mix them together? So we have all this stuff. We have CUC, Apache, MySQL, PHP, Git, HTML, SSL. What if we start mixing them together? Then we, of course, need a little mixer to mix everything together. And then we have, if we mix them together, we have something we call a platform as a service. What this does is you give them your code, you give this service your code, and they will deploy it onto a server somewhere in the cloud. They will manage it, and they scale it. So for example, your client starts small, very small website. The client grows, so your server needs to grow because you have more requests, so you need a bigger server. If you're doing it on a shared hosting, you need to call the hosting company and tell them, okay, I need more memory, or I need a bigger hard drive, or whatever. If you deploy it to a service, they will just scale it depending on the needs the website has. For example, if the company has some sort of an event once a year, then they will have a peak at a certain moment in that year. You can the site will just scale, so you just pay for that period, that 2 weeks the event will be in. All right. So an example of such service to deploy and put your website on is PHP Fog. So what does PHP Fog do? They deploy using a Git repository. So you know what Git does, how you need to put your code onto the repository. They provide you with the repository, so they provide you with the container you can put your Joomla into. You can choose for a shared or a private cloud. Probably everybody of you is on private or on shared hosting. So you're with a lot of companies, websites, development companies together on one server. If one company screw up and they install a Joomla that has a huge performance leak, or another system or something else, or something custom built, it could be that your site will go down too because of a company you don't even know. So it's the same here. You can choose for a shared or a private cloud. And of course, it's scalable. You can start choosing, if you go for a private cloud, you can start initially choose how much memory you want, what the hard drive you want. And then if you have a website on the service that needs more memory or that needs more hard drive, you can just scale it. With a user interface, you can just drag and drop and scale the server. It's fast and it's reliable. It's managed internationally. It's on a lot of continents. So like, for example, PHP Fog, it's not on one place. The whole infrastructure under the server, like the whole network, it's managed on a lot of continents, for example. So if something happens with one data center, they will just switch to another data center. If today something happens with your current hosting provider, and his servers go down, or they break the internet connection, it's game over, because it's on one location. Here, you just get it for free. You get your space for probably the same amount of money you're paying today to your current hosting provider, and you have a lot of more options. And then in the end, you also get add-ons. For example, New Relic. Not sure if you know New Relic. I will show it to you at the end. It's super powerful, and it's a tool to monitor your website, both on a level of the server as on a level of the visitors. So it can track your queries on the server. It can track if the server goes down. It can track which PHP pages are giving an error. But it can also track on the level of a visitor who is viewing the page, for example, how long it takes, how long the rendering time of the page takes. For example, for our clients, for the Belgian police, from time to time, they upload an image from 5 megabytes into the website, and then in the editor, they push it together, so they have a nice little image, but in reality, it's like 5 megabytes. You will see this error. It's not an error, because the image is rendered, it just takes a while, but you will see this in New Relic. So we call the client, and we call the police then, or we send them an email, and we say, hey guys, that image needs to change. So it's super powerful. And then Blitz, not sure if you know that one, that's also powerful. If you're making a bit more or high-end websites, it allows you to put a massive amount of requests onto your website. So for example, if you're building something for an event, you're building a website for an event, you can, with Blitz, you can reconstructure the initial or the eventual user base that will go to the website. So you can check your server. For example, today, if you have your website, you set up a Blitz account and you just put a massive amount of requests through your server, and then you can see when it goes down, and you can call the hosting company, yeah, or choose another hosting company. That's a powerful tool as well.
Is the service read-only, or the database replicated for hosting shops or other systems?
Presentation. Are you here tomorrow? Yeah, are you here tomorrow? Then come to my presentation. Are you here tomorrow? Come to my presentation. I'll explain how the cloud works and how all these things work. It's going to be a little bit out of, otherwise we're going to run out of time. But I have a presentation tomorrow which is called Your Joomla Site in the Cloud, which talks specifically about all these technologies, how the cloud works, how the application works, how databases work, memory, all that stuff.
So also for your question about the database, tomorrow can be a very interesting presentation because we take a next step based on this one. Okay. So, and then you also have jump starts with PHP Fog. You can, with one click of a button, it installs you a Joomla onto the Git repository. You get a link, you check the Git repository, or you download it on your local system, and you can start working. So same for Drupal, WordPress, and a lot of other tools. They call it jump starts. And here you have a little overview for PHP Fog about the pricing and what you get. So initially, they have a free plan for 3 apps, which means you can install 3 websites on the free plan. The storage is 100 megabytes, and the memory and the CPU is shared. So this is the shared hosting one, and the others are private. So for the others, you have, like with the first one, it's like $3 a month for each website you put on to PHP Fog. And you can, for this plan, you can run up to 10 apps on for $3. And if you have more websites, then you, the price go down, and then you pay $2.62, and then you can go up to 30 apps.
What are computers in this for the CPU? It's like
Yeah, it's like a dual core, or
okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. But they don't propose things like several computers. So
Yeah, it's not tomorrow.
it's
It's a little bit more complex than that.
That's good. Okay.
It's a little bit more. Yeah, it works different. I'll explain it tomorrow. Yeah.
This is PHP Fog is, if you are completely new to Git and you're using FTP today, check this out first. Even if it's just for playing, it will give you a lot of info, and it will give you a lot of feedback, and you will start knowing all these tools. But this is perfect. I'm using it myself for a few websites, for clients, small websites. On the $3 or the $2.90, I've just put my Joomla website into the repository. If the client calls and he wants a different color, he wants his text in a different color, I just change it, I push it to the server. And in this case, in PHP Fog, I will show it to you in a minute. Once you make a push to the master branch, which you saw in the diagram before, it automatically gets deployed on the web server. So a few seconds later, the visitors will see the change. Of course, you can create other branches, like your own develop branch. But to start, it's very simple. You just get a master branch, you put something in there, and you commit, and it automatically deploys to the server. So in your question before, this is a little bit more simplistic here, because it's already automatically deployed. So it's very easy to use. You really should check it out.
You explain it more technical if you use Amazon Web Services. So if you build it on your own, you use a remote repository, because it's Time as a Service complete solution. But if I want to go on Amazon Web Services and don't want to use PHP Fog.
Well, if you really want to use Amazon, the guys of PHP Fog, they also have now a new thing. It's called App Fog, and there you can choose your server company. So it's like, what are they doing? They're creating a user interface. That's take it really simple. They're building a user interface where you can just point and click and say, okay, I want my server to be on Rackspace in Dallas, for example, or I want it to be on Amazon in that part of a country, in the States or in India or whatever. Okay.
Simple, quick answer. Yes. If you set up your own server, you can set up a Git on that server yourself.
Okay.
This is what we do. Rackspace, Amazon, anywhere.
Yeah.
Install Git and then push it there.
So that's the next step. Or if you just want Amazon because you like the guys, you can use AppFog, which does the same, but you can choose your.
It's paid by the guys from PHP.
Damn it!
I just have the discount code.
So if you want to choose your server and your company, you can check out AppFog. And if it doesn't matter and you just want stuff online and you want to work with the Git repository, you can try out first PHP Fog. So let's have a little demo. Let's see. The screen is a little bit small, but it will do. So I created an account. Sorry? Was there a question? No?
No.
Okay. So I created an account. I'm not going to do it again. It's very easy with the slow internet. But I just created an account. This is my my account on PHP Fog. And then you already see you can create multiple clouds. For example, for today, I created a shared cloud because it's free. But I also have an Oasis cloud, which is hosting at this moment a few live sites. So I'm really using this. So let's check the shared clouds, if it allows me to click again. Yes. Okay, then we go to apps there, and then like that. So I've created an app here. So let's click on the app. And now you get a nice dashboard. I'm not sure what you're using with your current hosting provider, maybe a cPanel, or what's the other panel called? Plesk, right? So it's a little bit the same, but then a little bit more advanced. So at the left, you see all the stuff you can do with it. You have your database. You can even switch to a pro database to start replicating your database tables and whatever, or have a dedicated database server. So this is possible. And then, of course, you have your source code. So it has some information about how you can access the Git repository to access your source code. Then you can set up your local domain or your domain name. For the free, you need to pay $5 a month for the free plan. For the plan of $2.90, you can just add a custom domain. And then it's very easy. You just change the A name record in your DNS settings, and 24 or 48 hours afterwards, it's done. You can even add an SSL domain to it. So you also have permissions, of course. For example, in your JOOMLA site, you want your client to upload images, so you just add the path to the media image folder, and the image folder will be writable, and the client can upload his images from within the JOOMLA website. Okay. In this case, if you are start experimenting with this, the only thing you can do with PHP Fog, and it's a little bit, well, it's a little bit negative at this point, is you can't access the directory through SFTP, for example, to access the images. For example, you build your website for your client. The client adds 100 images. How are you going? Yeah, the images are backed up into PHP Fog, but you want to migrate to another system, for example, or another server, for example. It would be ideal to log into through SFTP and download all the images the client uploaded over the past year. At this point, it's not possible. With AppFog, it's like the new PHP Fog, the new version, they will add the ability. to log in through SFTP. So you can change every directory that is writable. You can log into it and you can download your custom images the clients uploaded, because you don't want them to be in the version control system in the Git, because otherwise your Git will be full of custom images that are just required on the server and not for development. Then you have some environment variables, and a very powerful thing is the stats, which if you have the premium or the paid plan, you can go to New Relic, and I will show it to you in just a moment. You can upgrade, of course. You have support, you have settings, and you have the add-ons. Then let's first check out the website. So here you have, if I can select it, you have the link to the Git repository. Yeah, double click it. Right. So if you open your terminal or install a desktop application and open your terminal, then you can just do git clone, add the link, and now he's cloning the Git repository. So I have now access locally on my system to all the files that are inside the Git repository. Now I only made that one like that. So here it is. I've added a little website, just one index.html page, otherwise a whole Joomla would take a little bit on the internet here. But this is the website. It's on phpfogapp.com. So Joomla tools slash demo.phpfogapp.com. This is the website. I already added it in the afternoon. But if I want to change it now, for example, the client calls, he wants something to be removed or whatever, I open the, oops, yeah, I can use that one, but let's use this one. I open the HTML file, and well, let's say we just remove the entire template. Okay, so I just removed the whole CSS file, so we are sure we have something to see in a moment. Let's hope. I go back to my terminal. I've made my changes, so now I just need to type git commit with a message removed CSS or remove bootstrap or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so what you first need to do is you need to add your changes to git add, and then afterwards you need to commit them. And then he says you removed one file changed, one deletion. One deletion is one row. So one row in your source code has been removed. Now hopefully we refresh. And well, it can take a few seconds. But oh yeah, of course. Git push. I'm doing it on purpose, so some guys were awake. So of course you need to push your changes to the server, otherwise it won't work. And now, yeah. So you only need to push to the server and it will deploy automatically, and it can take, voila. Yeah?
How are changes on the server committed to the master branch on that installation? Because if you change something on the template using Joomla's editor online on the live side,
that won't work. No.
So there should be you should be able to pull that.
No. If you have your own server with Git installed, you can commit from the server to the Git repository, because then your server, your web server, has the connection with the repository. You've made a change through the user interface of Joomla. You changed the CSS file. You can commit it by logging into SSL, to your web server, and then git commit, git push to the repository, and then locally you can pull again. But in this case, in PHP Fog, you don't have access to the server, so you can't make changes to a CSS file from within Joomla.
So this is a very important point, right? So this whole workflow only works if the adding of the files happens outside. Joomla is designed to be very user-friendly, and it has an installer. That installer you can upload zip files into, and then it starts putting files on the file system. That installer is designed from a FTP, I'll install it on the website concept, right? When we work with clients for bigger installations, we don't let them install anything. You don't want that. It's very dangerous because they go into a production environment and they can potentially havoc and break it badly. So you install the extensions on your end, and then you push the changes over. Then, of course, the database problem comes in again because you also need to migrate the database changes. What we're showing you here is the very simple, how do I go from git checkout, getting it on a server, and having it all running instantly without needing to do much in between, right? But
Well,
if you do this in I'm having a decent client and he's going to pay me a lot of money, then there's a little bit more to it. Okay?
And
Before you go out and make 600 euro quotes, be careful, right?
in this case, it's really the first step from FTP on a shared host to something that makes your evening more happy and more peaceful. Because last thing I want to show you is the monitoring. I'm not sure if you today, if now a site goes down from your client, do you get an alert from it? Who gets an alert? That's not half of the people in the room.
Jesus Christ. God save us.
Okay. So with this tool, it's a paid tool, but if you're a client of PHP Fog, you get the lowest paid plan for free, and it allows you, for example, here, these are the websites I'm running in PHP Fog, and you can click on the website. And for example, for the website Janssens.be, you get an overview of all the queries that are running on the website. So you immediately see this one here. The session is
Between biggest performance problem with Joomla, sessions.
yeah,
Right?
it's the
Users. Not sessions. Not users.
there is nobody
Visitors.
on this site. There is nobody logging into the front end, so only back end once a week. So
It comes from 1.5 times.
Well, that's true. That's true. Unfortunately, after 7 years, it's still not out. But
then, for example, monitoring. What you can do is you can add a URL and then define the amount of time between each ping, and then a New Relic will ping this URL, and you can add, that's on the left or the right of the screen. Oops, no. Where is the scroll bar? Well, it's here, down. Then you can add email addresses of people who will get notifications about it. Very easy. It also has an API access, so you can access the monitoring through an API. And then you also have a lot of other statistics. For example, like I said in the beginning, this is the browser page load time. So you can see how much or how long it takes a user to render a page. You also have some other statistics. Where are users coming from? In this case, mostly a little country called Belgium. Worldwide load time, and a lot of other statistics. So this is a pretty cool add-on you get for free when you start using PHP Fog. So you also have on a PHP level, I'm not showing that one, but on a PHP level, if something goes wrong in a certain file, then it gives you an error. For example, I have an error running in Foca Gallery, and it just shows you the file index.php or Foca Gallery, controller, whatever, and you know, okay, this component has an error, so I need to look into it. If your client or is the visitor is not going to call you and tell you, okay, I'm here on this page in this gallery, and a certain combination of an image and a category or whatever is generating an error, you will never know. With this tool installed, you will know everything that's going on in your website. So it's super powerful. Okay, time's up. Any questions? Was this what you expected it would be? Otherwise, we have a drink and I can talk more. Or send an email to PHP Fog so they fire me, and then
You're working for them?
No. It could be. No.
But they should actually hire you.
Yeah. Okay, no questions, or somebody, or afterwards, or tomorrow.
Short questions.
Short questions. Yeah. Or afterwards, tomorrow I'll be here whole day, so.
So tomorrow, for people that want to come, tomorrow I'm going to do a talk about the cloud. We will cover SaaS services, PaaS services, and IaaS services. Software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. If you don't know what that is and how that works, then that might be interesting. I'll explain a little bit more technical side of it for people that have questions about it. And I'll show you some very interesting tools, some that we already showed here, and other tools that are out there today that you can use in relationship with JOOMLA. That can help you build and maintain and support clients and JOOMLA sites. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.